بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على سيد المرسلين سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. اللهم لا سهل لما جعلته سهلا وأن تجعل الحزن والصعب إذا ما شئت سهلا، اللهم آمين. I would like to start first by thanking Allah Azza wa Jal that He had given us the chance to be able to be here tonight in this house of Allah and be able to, do some remembrance and dhikr, and thank the brothers who always make this possible. I mean, more specifically, Brother Hassan and his family. That may Allah bless them for the the real stuff they prepare in the background. Yes, Allah Salman, Alhamdulillah, Alhamdulillah. May Allah bless them and give them barakah, Ya Rabbi. I wanted to maybe choose a delicate topic. It's a relatively a topic that needs to be careful when you present it, because when you present it, or at least when I present it, I talk about myself. I necessarily address myself because I want to be able to improve in my life. And it is also important for the parents as well as for the children. We know that we live in very challenging environment. We are living in a materialistic society where the culture is focused on the self, and that's why you have the all eye gadgets. The iPhone, the iPad, all these eye things that are evolved as a result of this, culture. And they think it's not this is not a secret, and this is actually part of what is presented in the Western culture. They say we're self-centered culture. That this is what drives our growth and motivate people to in their life. Unlike the Western society, Eastern societies, which are more community oriented. The Eastern societies focus more on the group or on the community, and the Western societies focus more on the self, and that's why you have heroes in the West as Superman, Batman, Catman, all those man things and women that are representing the methodology of being powerful and empowered, and being able to serve. But it is all about one person, rather than when you look into the Eastern cultures, it's more geared towards the group, and we run away from presenting ourselves and shy away from being appointed or showing off in our presentations. So this is what is in Islam known as tazkiyat al-nafs. Tazkiyat al-nafs is an important issue that did not start only by the message of Islam, but it started early in the time with the da'wah of Ibrahim alayhi salam. We know that in Surah Al-Baqarah, Allah Azza wa drew for us an image for Ibrahim alayhi salam when he was with Ismail alayhi salam, and they both have presented an outstanding story of ithar, which is something we'll come to talk about and define its meaning. When Allah Azza wa Jal asked Ibrahim alayhi salam to slaughter his own son Ismail, and again, if Ibrahim or Ismail were to be self-centered, then they would probably be questioning this command from Allah Azza wa Jal. But rather than questioning this issue from Allah, they both have surrendered. فَلَمَّا أَسْلَمَا وَتَلَّهُ لِلْجَبِينِ. They both have surrendered to the commands and the wish of Allah Azza wa Jal. And as Allah described, Allah Azza wa Jal, and Ibrahim alayhi salam, have put Ismail on his laying on his face, so that they would not be able to see him as he is engaged in the process of slaughtering. And Ismail alayhi salam did not, also as a young man, did not say, well, I'm a young man, I still have a life to live. Maybe this is not a real ru'ya. This could be, temptations from the shaitan. But rather, he knew that his father is a prophet of Allah and ru'ya al-anbiya haq. So this is, by the way, between two brackets, only for the anbiya. So if a young brother or even an adult see in the dream that he's, killing someone or slaughtering someone, be 100% sure that this is from shaitan. This is not a ru'ya. So this is to be clear from the beginning, especially for the young, brothers and sisters. Only the anbiya would see ru'ya haq. Their dreams are different than the dreams of an average person. So if you happen to see illusions when you are sleeping or when you are alive of doing something that is not acceptable within the norms of our society or culture, then know it is coming from shaitan. Get an advice from an elder, or share these thoughts with someone that you trust, so that you're able to be guided and get guidance on this. But Ibrahim and Ismail, after they passed that test, وَإِذِ ابْتَلَى إِبْرَاهِيمَ رَبُّهُ بِكَلِمَاتٍ فَأَتَمَّهُنَّ قَالَ إِنِّي جَاعِلُكَ لِلنَّاسِ إِمَامًا. After that, Allah Azza wa Jal honored Ibrahim with another assignment, which is to raise the walls of the Kaaba. وَإِذْ يَرْفَعُ إِبْرَاهِيمُ الْقَوَاعِدَ مِنَ الْبَيْتِ وَإِسْمَاعِيلُ رَبَّنَا تَقَبَّلْ مِنَّا إِنَّكَ أَنْتَ السَّمِيعُ الْعَلِيمُ. Again, they both were focused on an important concept of in the deen, which is to ask Allah for the sincerity and ikhlas in their actions. And that's why, as a result of their sincerity and ikhlas in their efforts in raising the walls of the Kaaba, we're seeing nowadays their efforts are paying off. On average, we have about 5 million people every year go to Hajj, and around 2 to 3 million make it for Umrah every year. So this is again as a result of the beautiful ikhlas that both Ibrahim and Ismail had in their mind and hearts. And what's interesting and surprising, and I need now some help from the young brothers. وإذ يرفع إبراهيم القواعد من البيت وإسماعيل ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم ربنا وابعث فيهم رسولا يتلو عليهم آياتك يتلو عليهم آياتك الكتاب والحكمة ويزكيهم إنك أنت العزيز الحكيم. Right? So Ibrahim, while he was supplicating to Allah, تقبل منا يا رب, you make our efforts sincerely and solely for you يا رب العالمين, يا رب, make this is for your sake, Ya Arham Ar-Rahimeen. Ya Rabbi, give us the sincerity, the ikhlas, give us, all. Then at the same time, he was making another dua. Rabbana, O our Lord, وَابْعَثْ فِيهِمْ رَسُولًا مِّنْهُمْ. Send from among them, a prophet who will teach them al-kitab wal-hikmah wa-yuzakkihim. إِنَّكَ أَنْتَ الْعَزِيزُ الْحَكِيمُ. Will teach them the Quran. The kitab referring to the Quran. Hikmah refers to the Sunnah of Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And then وَيُزَكِّيهِمْ, and to purify them, إِنَّكَ أَنْتَ الْعَزِيزُ الْحَكِيمُ. Like this is in the first chapter, right? The first juz'u of the Quran. In the second juz'u, كَمَا أَرْسَلْنَا فِيكُمْ رَسُولًا مِنْكُمْ يَتْلُو عَلَيْكُمْ آيَاتِنَا وَيُزَكِّيكُمْ وَيُعَلِّمُكُمُ الْكِتَابَ وَالْحِكْمَةَ. Now, يُزَكِّيكُم came first, and then الْكِتَابَ وَالْحِكْمَةَ came later on. And also the same thing is to be said in Surah Al-Jumu'ah. هو الذي بعث في الأميين رسولا منهم يتلو عليهم آياته ويزكيهم ويعلمهم الكتاب والحكمة. So if you were to pay attention, that the dua of Ibrahim was, Ya Rabbi, send someone who will teach them the kitab, hikmah, and then yuzakkihim. However, when Allah Azza spoke about the deen of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and the followers of the deen of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, He said, وَيُزَكِّيهِمْ وَيَعْلِمُهُمُ الْكِتَابَ وَالْحِكْمَةَ. This is, a beautiful catch of how, the order of the words in the dua and in this idea came in the Quran. And it was probably in the Quran introduced in four locations, if I'm right. And I had to do some, search into, first, why would Ibrahim alayhi salam, delay the tazkiyah, and why Allah Azza wa Jal would be forwarding the tazkiyah, and why Ibrahim, would be making this particular dua. This is an important thing to pay attention to, because, at that time we know that, Ya Rabbi, إني أسكنت من ذريتي بعدا غير ذي زرع عند بيتك المحرم، أو ربنا ليقيموا الصلاة فاجعل أفئدة من الناس تهوي إليهم وارزقهم من الثمرات لعلهم يشكرون. He asked Allah Azza wa Jal to provide for them from the provision, and he asked Allah Azza wa Jal that to make the hearts of people fall onto them, so that at least they will have what it takes to create the social environment, the social context in their livelihood will be created. What are the most important things we need for in our life? First, this livelihood needs, which is food and drink, which was not available in Mecca at that time. It was a valley غير ذي زرع. But at the same time, what if you have tons of food, but you don't have any people to socialize with or to interact with? Then life would be also miserable. And we see this sometimes in areas, remote areas, where there are less population, and people seem to be more born to be depressed because they don't have enough interaction with people around them. So Ibrahim alayhi salam asked Allah to make this town alive, and that's why the city doesn't sleep, not in New York. It's Mecca. You go any time, in the day, you will find people doing Umrah, and you will find people doing tawaf. You will find people doing sa'i, mu'takifin, reading Quran, praying, reading, looking at the Kaaba. It's always busy. Never that you will see it empty. But at the same time, Ibrahim alayhi salam also asked Allah for another important issue that is, to be given to those who will become later on, which is the kitab and the hikmah, of course, but التزكيه. And Ibrahim alayhi salam, in the previous time, all the prophets of Allah Azza wa Jal, their message was, to teach people the kitab and the hikmah, and as this would lead them to the tazkiyah. And maybe this is why, in Surah سبح اسم ربك الأعلى, Allah Azza wa Jal said, Surah Al-A'la, Allah Azza wa Jal said, قد أفلح من تزكى وذكر اسم ربه فصلى بل تؤثرون الحياة الدنيا والآخرة خير وأبقى إن هذا في الصحف الأولى صحف إبراهيم وموسى. See, so from previous, or from all the prophets who came from before, they were the conclusion of their message was to help people reach the tazkiyah. However, in the deen of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, once you say ashhadu anna la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah, you are in the process, you are already involved in tazkiyah. Your nafs has been purified, because now you are, and we will see how the knowing that Allah is the creator, the sustainer, that there is no God except Him, and knowing that Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is His prophet and messenger, and follow His path, eventually you will automatically be purified and be in the path of tazkiyah towards Allah Azza wa Jal. Right now, a question comes here, practical questions, and this is what I want to make my talk is more practical. What is tazkiyah? Any suggestion? What does tazkiyah mean?
Purification of yours.
Purification of the nafs. Right. Well, that is true, but if you look into linguistically the meaning of tazkiyah, tazkiyah has two meanings in the Arabic language linguistically. The first one is purification, filtration, al-takhliyah, which is to filter, an object from all the unnecessary things, or the things that would make it not pure. The gold normally is put on fire for purification. All the materials that are involved, mixed with the gold will go on the surface and will be removed, so that the gold will be pure, left, purely and more, better than before. And another meaning for tazkiyah is the growth. And this is, by the way, where the meaning of zakah came from, because zakah is first purification. It purifies your money, because when you pay your zakah, the zakah will purify your money from all the haram or the shubuhat that you had in your money. But at the same time, ما نقص ماله من صدقه. No money will decrease as a result of sadaqah. So this is where the meaning of zakah came from, into the meaning of tazkiyah. And at the same time, now in the shari'i perspective, tazkiyah has the same meaning, takhliyah and tahliyah. So the first thing, in tazkiyat al-nafs is to purify your nafs from all the things that would prevent it from, revealing and supplementing towards Allah, and at the same time reinforcing and supplementing all the good manners that you have towards making you a good Muslim in your path towards Allah Azza wa Jal. So this is the meaning of tazkiyah. Tazkiyah, two meanings, and they both apply to the tazkiyat al-nafs. And that's why tazkiyah is important. Allah Azza wa Jal said in Surah Shams, قد أفلح من زكاها وقد خاب من دساها كذبت ثمود بطغواها إذ انبعث أشقاها. Now, ونفس وما سواها فألهمها فجورها وتقواها ونفس وما سواها. Now Allah Azza wa Jal introduces to us this important concept that nafs is something that Allah created, and as the Prophet was asked, وَيَسْأَلُونَكَ عَنِ الرُّوحِ قُلْ الرُّوحُ مِنْ أَمْرِ رَبِّي وَمَا أُوتِيتُم مِنَ الْعِلْمِ إِلَّا قَلِيلًا. The ruh is from Allah Azza wa Jal. We know that in the hadith in which the Prophet ﷺ described the different stages in which the fetus go through, and then in the 120 days the malak comes down to blow the ruh from Allah Azza wa Jal in this fetus, and it becomes a human. So the ruh is from Allah Azza wa Jal. We do not know its entity. However, people are trying to understand the meaning of ruh and the nafs. Whether there is differentiation in the meaning between the ruh and the nafs, and whether it is the same, because Allah Azza wa Jal described different nafs in the Quran. An-nafs al-zalim, zalimun li nafsihi, and there is al-muqtasid, and there is al-sabiq fil khayrat, and there is an-nafs al-lawwama and an-nafs al-mutma'inna. And whether these are three different types of nafs, or whether it is a description for one nafs in different stages in its life. This is also a debatable issue. Now, if you look into the modern science of psychology, you will see that there is the personality psychology, which talks about different personalities that people have in their life, and this is a fact. Based on empirical studies, which is based on research, they analyze the personality of people, and they find them to fit within different categories. There are, I think, 4 domains or 5 domains of personality that people fit within. And of course, they're not cut short in different the domains. They're mixed. You would have a mix between an overlap between one domain and another domain, and or a mix between this domain and that domain. So, and this is from the rahmah of Allah Azza wa Jal. Why? Because imagine if all the people were to be in one domain of personality, life would not be established, because وَجَعَلَ بَعْضَكُمْ لِبَعْضٍ سُخْرِيًّا, that life needs to be to establish life, and people need each other, and this need for each other, that means that you need to have different skills in life, different abilities, and different personalities. However, Allah Azza wa Jal said, وَنَفْسٍ وَمَا سَوَّاهَا فَأَلْهَمَهَا فُجُورَهَا وَتَقْوَاهَا. Now, وَنَفْسٍ وَمَا سَوَّاهَا. This ayah came, by the way, after an oath that Allah Azza wa Jal introduced His power and ability in creating the sun, وَالشَّمْسُ وَضُحَاهَا وَالْقَمَرِ إِذَا تَلَاهَا, without going into the details. So let's focus on the meaning of in our topic for tonight. Allah Azza wa Jal said that He created the nafs. وَنَفْسٍ وَمَا سَوَّاهَا. Because it's so magnificent, it is a miracle. It is referring and showing the power and ability of Allah Azza wa Jal. فَأَلْهَمَهَا فُجُورَهَا وَتَقْوَاهَا. Now, أَلْهَمَهَا in the Arabic language again is what Allah Azza wa Jal will be giving to someone that would lead for something good. Al-ilham is a message that Allah Azza wa Jal will be giving to someone that would lead him for something good in life. And Allah Azza wa Jal said, Alhamaha meaning to say that Allah Azza wa Jal had given to this nafs already by default. When you buy any computing machines, they come pre-equipped with Windows, and then you put the Office. My knowledge with the technology is very limited. This is how much I know. So your nafs is already come with this by default from Allah Azza wa Jal. You have the prerequisite, you have the built-in. فَأَلْهَمَهَا فُجُورَهَا وَتَقْوَى. What's فُجُورَهَا? Fujur from fujur. Fujur is from fujur. Fujur is evil, evil actions. طب taqwaha is from taqwa. طب why did the fujur came before taqwa? Why Allah did not say taqwaha or fujuraha? Fujur first and then taqwa. This would probably endorse, this hypothesis that I, come across in one of my researches I've done, is that the different types of nafs introduced in the Quran are actually describing one nafs, not different, types of nafs. It's a one nafs that goes through different stages in life. And that's why, the concept of takhliya and tahliya in the science of tazkiyah is an important one. What does takhliya means? Takhliya means to purify. So before you tuzakki nafsak, before you start in the process of tazkiyah, you need to filter yourself from all the negativities that you have by default. Again, we said that there are different domains we fit within and we overlap with. And many of us, or all of us with no exception, would have some good traits and some bad traits, negative and good. And your job is to be able to know the negative traits or the negative, things that you have in your nafs, and try to eliminate that or purify it. And this is, by the way, normally done through your murabbi. And that's why in the, I need to be a little be careful with this. I'm not, fitting within any group in our, community, but I'm trying to be more scientific and more practical in this approach. That's why in Islamic literature, the books of tarbiyah are, there's so much. There are so much, literatures talking about tarbiyah. Why? Because it's an important, issue. You will not be able to see your own shortcomings. This would be seen for you, and it would be only given to you as a gift by someone who, first, loves you, cares about you, and second, who has the knowledge and ability to be able to give that for you. And this is an important concept, and that's why, through early stages of his life, the Prophet ﷺ's job when he first, when he started his da'wah, is to take the Sahaba from Jahiliyyah to become after that, a society that was able to lead the Ummah. How he was able to take Abu Jahl, not Abu Jahl, the Sahaba who were, worshipping statues and idols, and they were, so self-centered and so mean, and they were, Jahiliyyah, they were, attacking, preying on each other. They were, selling people and buying people slaves. They were burying, their children alive. They had so much inside them. But Islam came to filter all these negativities, take them away, and plant new, good traits or manners, and also nurture the good manners that were already inside them. Because the Prophet ﷺ said, إِنَّمَا بُعِثْتُ لِأُتَمِّمَ مَكَارِمَ الْأَخْلَاقِ. SubhanAllah, the other day, I was in one of the palliative care, rounds, and they were talking about the new, palliative grieving, a trend in the culture nowadays. They're talking about the electronic, era now we're living in, where, people could have memorials online. You like if you have a Facebook, your Facebook will be after someone's died, and it would be, presenting your last, interaction with it, and people will be able to see but would not be able to send to you or delete. So many things about different social media outlets, and how, the new emerging, definition of grieving and memory for, dead loved ones is now changed completely from the traditional way of many years ago, or 2 or 3 decades ago. And they were taking, one of the beautiful things that said that, one of the psychologists, prominent psychologists, said that on average a person will be remembered for 70 years, unless a person has, left behind a different, a legacy, like, like those the people whom we know throughout the history, like, now in our tradition, the Prophet ﷺ, the Sahaba, and their, the Western traditions, Napoleon, or, all, those, their own, heroes in the history of Europe. These are remembered because they are unusual people, but an average person will be remembered for 70 years. And then after that, things will be going. And they were talking about how one kid who was, diagnosed with a very fatal disease, who created a video clip that after his death, hit a record. And so I had to go and watch that. And then as I was watching, those who were leaving, talking about their experience with close to leaving the dunya, I come across, a video which talks about a person who said himself that he said, I am an atheist. And he said that I was traveling outside the U.S. and I got so seriously sick, and I went to they took me to the hospital, and then they were not able to operate on me, and they had to call a doctor who would be coming the following day. So I felt that I'm dying. And he said, literally, he was in the hospital, and his wife was next to him, and she felt that it is it, and he felt that he's leaving, and he fainted and went in a coma. And he said that I died. And so he said, nothing scared me like this, because he said, and I'm quoting his own words, because he said, I'm agnostic, I'm atheist, I am self-centered. And this is what he's like, he said, this is what an atheist would be, self-centered, because life for him or her means everything. There's not, like, if you die, khalas is it, you lose it. So life means for you everything. You try to get the most out of your life. And this is how an agnostic or an atheist would be thinking. This is my Jannah. Dunya is my Jannah. There's nothing after. If I die, this is it. There's nothing after life. They don't believe in what's after life. So subhanAllah, this struck in my mind that this is where the Jahiliyyah society and how the Prophet ﷺ changed the concept of the Sahaba from being self-centered, because they did not believe in Akhirah. They did not. قال من يحيي العظام وهي رميم قل يحيي الذي أنشأها أول مرة وهو بكل خلق عليم. They said, when they challenged the Prophet, they said they took, one of them took bones of a camel, all bones of a camel, and crushed them in front of the Prophet. He said, your God will bring this back again to life. He said, the Prophet yes to him, yes, he will raise you once again and put you in the hellfire. So the Prophet ﷺ was able, through the tazkiyah to the Sahaba, to change their path of life, change in 180 degrees, from being self-centered to from being afterwards, those who have offered everything in their life. So this is how important the concept of tazkiyah is. So Allah Azza wa Jalla said that, وَنَفْسٍ وَمَا سَوَّاهَا فَأَلْهَمَهَا فُجُورَهَا وَتَقْوَاهَا. So by default, you do have some of these traits or some of those negativities, the negative manners inside you that needs to be filtered out, so that what is left are the good manners, and these good manners need to be reinforced, and the good manners that you do not have will be implemented in you and nurtured and reinforced until they will make you be able to become have the good manners and the good akhlaq. And that's why Allah said, فَأَلْهَمَهَا فُجُورَهَا وَتَقْوَاهَا قَدْ أَفْلَحَ مَنْ زَكَّاهَا. A glad tiding be to the person who would do the tazkiyah to his or her own nafs. Now, let's move to another chapter where Allah Azza wa Jal speaks about the Prophet ﷺ. And there's a correlation between akhlaq and tazkiyah, because basically tazkiyah is having the good manners, the best of the good manners. And this is what the Prophet ﷺ's job was. And he said, I was sent to perfect the good manners. So Allah Azza wa Jalla described the Prophet وَإِنَّكَ لَعَلَى خُلُقٍ عَظِيمٍ. And this is in Surah Nun. And then after that, Allah Azza wa Jalla says, وَلَا تُطِعِ الْمُكَذِّبِينَ وَدُّوا لَوْ تُدْهِنُ فَيُدْهِنُونَ وَلَا تُطِعْ كُلَّ حَلَّافٍ مَهِينٍ هَمَّازٍ مَشَّاءٍ بِنَمِيمٍ مَنَّاعٍ لِلْخَيْرِ مُعْتَدٍ أَثِيمٍ عُتُلٍّ بَعْدَ ذَلِكَ زَنِيمٍ. 9 descriptions were given opposite to the good manners of the Prophet ﷺ. طيب, for the sake of time, we'll take inshallah a quick scan through them so that we're able to see if we do have part or some of these traits in our nafs. Because if you have any of those, then you need to work on yourself. First of all, Allah Azza said, حَلَّافٍ مَهِينٍ. What's halaf?
oaths a lot.
A lot. Halaf, an exaggerated form of half. Yahlif means make an oath. Halaf makes an oath a lot. Why would the person be making an oath a lot?
Something else. Just, you know, like, because maybe he's not.
Because he's bankrupt.
Yeah. Bankrupt, but he's a liar.
Nobody believes.
Well, let's not say use a heavy word. A person who's shallow, empty, bankrupt, who's trying to make his point cross. He knows, or she knows, but by the way, this is not only he or she, this is across the board. You know, these descriptions would not be, you know, female dominant or male dominant, but they're across the board. So halaf, a person who's shallow, bankrupt, has no point, but wants to prove his point always right. And there is no, he finds or she finds no way to do that except half, making an oath. And that's why I said halaf. Every, you know, time they make half. And they are argumentative. You know, they want to make sure, like, yahi, there is no point. It's okay, let it pass. There's no point for proving yourself right. What's the point of being always right? There is no point. Yani the Prophet ﷺ, you know, was told, Ya Rasulullah, in the battle of Badr, when he settled the Sahaba, you know, before the spring of the water, you know, he was told, is this a location that Allah asked you to settle in, or this is from your, you know, initiative as a human being in the, you know, in the battlefield? He said, no, it's from my initiative as a human being. He said, the Sahaba said, no, this is not a good location. Let's go to that location and capture, you know, the water spring so we can have it and enjoy the water, and the kuffar would not be able to enjoy it. And the Prophet ﷺ said, okay, sure. He moved from there because this is not a wahi issue. This is not something from Allah Azza wa Jal. So there is no point to say I am always right. It doesn't make sense. You know, أنا زعيم بيت في الجنة في ربض الجنة من ترك المراء وهو محق. I guarantee a house or a palace in Rabad al-Jannah, in the middle of the Jannah, to whomever leaves argument, well, he's right or she's right. So it's not the point that you are right and you try to prove yourself wrong. No, you are right, but what's the point? That's fine. I will, agree with my brother as long as this would help us to be united. So what's the point? You know, there's no point for proving myself right and proving others wrong. Halafin mahin, as a result of his too much halaf, as a result of, you know, being argumentative and being adamant and being narrow-minded and being self-centered, Allah has just said mahin, is humiliated. Humiliated because, you know, this is what would and you know, ثلاثة أقسم عليهن وحدثكم حديثا فاحفظوه. The Prophet made an oath about three things. Among them is a person who would leave al-mira, you know, he would leave argument while he's right. For the sake of Allah, Allah would raise his rank and would honor him. The Prophet is making a note about it. So Allah is just saying the person who's like that is mahin, humiliated. Hammazin masha'in binamim. What's hammaz? When Sheikh... طيب, hammaz is from hams. What's hams? Hams and lams. وَيْلُ لِكُلِّ هُمَزَةٍ لُمَزَةٍ.
That's the one.
Mock people. Mock people. Hams is the one, hammaz, exaggerated form of hams, is the one who mock people. And he's, you know, hammaz, always, whether by facial gestures, whether by words, whether by, you know, actions, or whether any forms of hams. It becomes part of his personality or her personality that they become hammaz. They always belittle people. I am superior. You know, everybody else is lower than me. Look, you know, this group of people, that group of people. You know, he always, you know, find himself superior and others are less than him or her, and they always mock people, whether by gestures or, you know, different other forms. Hammaz. Masha is Mashi. Mashi means walking. What does this have to relate to this? SubhanAllah, there is a connection, by the way, between all these 9 descriptions that Allah has introduced in the Quran.
He's spreading the house.
He walks between people to this, you know, to create fitna. The person who is with this personality is so vulnerable that they are always afraid. They want to make themselves always true and right. So the only way, because they have no argument, they have no points to prove. So the only way is to go behind and walk between people and convince behind people's back that Y was talking about X, and X they should not be listening to Y. So they Masha walks between people to create the namima. Namam is from namima. Namima, we know that backbiting or talking about people behind their back. So he always exaggerated form of namima. So this is a person who's, as a result of being self-centered, being so narrow-minded, that they have no business but to create fitna. They reach out for the far and the near. They reach for all the people behind the person they have a problem with, to create to create so many problems for them, and they make their life turn upside down. Hammazin, Masha'in, Binamin, Manna'in lil khayr. Not mani', manna'. Also an exaggerated form of mana', preventator or preventative to the khayr. They always, it's not that they don't they let people to do the khayr, but no, they want to interrupt with people and prevent them from doing khayr. Manna' al khayr, mu'tadin. On the top of all that, mu'tadin, transgressor. Athim, full of sins. From ithm. Utullin. What's utul? خذوه فاعتلوه. Utul is like خذوه فاعتلوه ثم الجحيم صلوه. Utul is to drag someone heavily, because this is what will happen to the disbelievers in the hereafter. They will be dragged heavily by the angels of punishment in the hereafter to the hellfire. So utul, we're taken from that perspective. And if you were to look into the tafsir of this, the meaning of this word, you will find that a person who is heartless, cruel, they have no heart, no mercy. They're unable to see things around them and people around them. They see people suffering and they take this as a joy. Heart, قاسي القلب. This is what the description you will find in the tafsir. قاسي القلب, heart hard. They love and enjoy seeing people suffering. عتل بعد ذلك زنيم. Zanim, whether it is from zanama, which is a mark that normally the sheep has around its neck, or whether it is referring to Al-Walid ibn Mughira, by the way, the father of Khalid ibn Walid, who was the wealthiest. أن كان ذا مال وبنين إذا تتلى عليك آياتنا قال أساطير الأولين. He listened to the Quran, digested the Quran, he knew that the Quran is haq, but rather when he went back to Quraysh, he changed his mind. He said, sihr. This is a magic. سأرهقه صعودا إنه فكر وقدر فقتل كيف قدر ثم قتل كيف قدر ثم نظر ثم عبس وبصر ثم أدبر واستكبر فقال إن هذا إلا سحر يؤثر إن هذا إلا قول البشر سأصليه سقر وما أدراك ما سقر لا تبقي ولا تذر لواحة للبشر عليها 19. A person who is so, full of himself, because Walid ibn Mughira, the father of Khalid ibn Walid, was the richest, one of the richest, was used to call Rayhan al-Quraysh. The most fluent and the most intelligent, the wealthiest. He used to have, children who would walk by his sides with full gear of the war. But he was, at the same time, so narcissistic in the terms of nowadays, truth, while he was aware of it. And as a result of that, Allah Azza wa have made him to be who he is. Contrast that with another personality that Allah Azza wa have, given us in the Quran. In Surah Al-Layl, قَدْ أَنذَرْتُكُمْ نَارًا تَلَظَّى لَا يَصْلَاهَا إِلَّا الْأَشْقَى الَّذِي كَذَّبَ وَتَوَلَّى وَسَيُجَنَّبُهَا الْأَتْقَى. طيب, what's his description? الذي يؤتي ماله يتزكى وما لأحد عنده من نعمة تجزى إلا ابتغاء وجه ربه الأعلى ولسوف يرضى. English translation, طيب. I warn you a blazing fire that will be, given to those who disbelieve, and will be avoided. And this fire will avoid al-atqa, those who are taqi. يؤتي ماله يتزكى, who gives his money, his wealth, for purification. وما لأحد عنده من نعمة تجزى, and he would not do it for any reason except ابتغاء وجه ربه الأعلى, for the pleasure of his Lord. And Allah will accept it and will be pleased with him. Who's this ayah came on? Who was it about? Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu. Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu. He represented the real meaning of ithar. So what's ithar? The opposite of the descriptions we have presented about Walid al-Mughira. Al-ithar is to care for others and not for yourself.
Selfless.
To give for others and to deprive yourself. To, be available for others and deny yourself. This is what ithar is. And Ibn al-Qayyim rahmatullahi alayhi did mention a beautiful meaning for the al-ithar, or for as-sakha, which is part of the ithar. He said as-sakha is to have the ability to give, because normally you would fight 70 shaitan before you're giving, right? When trying to give something in the path of Allah Azza wa Jal, shaitan always there to remind you different things. That's why there are some narrations that you fight 70 shaitan before you're able to give. So as-sakhi is the person who gives, but he or she gives from what he has and in a way that would not impact his life. For instance, a person gives $100. He finds a difficulty or $1,000 to give that $1,000 because after motivation and thinking and reflecting and 700 and al Jannah and the Nar and protect yourself on details. Okay, he gave 1,000 finally. This 1,000 came from $100,000 in the saving account. So did that impact him? But still, he's sakhi. He's sakhi. That's he's giving. There are those who are jawad. What does jawad mean? According to Ibn al-Qayyim, he said the person who would give in a way that would impact his life by giving half of what he owns.
Oh, yeah.
A person, can give $1,000, but all he has is $2,000. He gave one for the sake of Allah and kept one for himself. And then there is the one who is muhsin in his and there is the mu'thir, and the mu'thir is the one who gives and leaves nothing for himself. The person who gave $2,000 have left nothing for him. ما أبقيت يا أبا بكر لأهلك أبقيت الله ورسوله. This is what Abu Bakr responded. When the Prophet urged the Sahaba to give, he said, what did you give? What did you leave for your family?
Everything.
Allah wa Rasuluh. He brought all his wealth. And he said, I left Allah wa Rasuluh. This state of ithar, or this, superior status of akhlaq manner, this superiority in your nafs is not easily, by the way, achieved. The one who represented it truly is the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, because his life was all for his ummah. Ummati, ummati. The second person who have copied the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and was able to absorb the real meaning of ithar and lived it in his life was Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu. ما أبقيت أبو بكر الله ورسوله. خلاص. To believe, submission to Allah Azza wa Jal. And the group of people in the history of mankind, and I can say that easily, who have lived the ithar are al-ansar. Those whom Allah Azza wa Jal said about them, وَالَّذِينَ تَبَوَّأُوا الدَّارَ وَالْإِيمَانَ مِنْ قَبْلِ يُحِبُّونَ مَنْ هَاجَرَ إِلَيْهِمْ وَلَا يَجِدُونَ فِي أَنفُسِهِمْ حَاجَةً مِمَّا أُوتُوا حاجة في صدورهم ولو كان في نفوسهم ولو كان في الذين تبوأوا الدار والإيمان من قبل يحبون من هاجر إليهم ولا يجدون في صدورهم حاجة مما أوتوا ويؤثرون على أنفسهم ولو كان بهم خصاصة. الله أكبر. والذين تبوأوا الدار والإيمان من قبلهم. Allah Azza wa Jal described the Medina as being the Dar of Iman. Those who embraced Islam, from before the Muhajirin come to them. يحبون من هاجر إليهم. They loved who came to them. ويؤثرون على ولا يجدون في صدورهم حاجة مما أوتوا. You know, Medina, a small town with limited resources, exhausted of the civil wars, you know, that took place in Medina. The war between Al-Aws and Al-Khajraj have drained the resources of Medina. So the Medina became very exhausted. Yani, many people were killed, all the resources depleted as a result of, you know, Bani Qurayza and Bani Qurayza creating the fitna among the Aws and the Khazraj and supply them with the weapons and, you know, taking the money as a result of that. So the Medina is depleted from all the resources that it has. Yet, they did not find anything in their heart when they welcomed the Sahaba. And when the Prophet ﷺ came, he put the hand of the Ansari when the Muhajirin say, you are brothers for the sake of Allah Azza wa Jal. To the point that Amr ibn Rabi' said to Abdurrahman ibn Auf, I am the wealthiest person in Medina and I give you half of my wealth. This would make him jawad, right? This is superior, give half of your wealth. When you're rich, all of a sudden you become, not so rich. It's heavy on the nafs. But wait to hear this. He said, I have 2 wives. Look at them, which one you prefer, I will divorce her for you, and after her that you can marry her. Allahu Akbar. For an Arabian to say that, that's superior. This is superior for real. بارك الله لك في مالك وأهلك دلني على السوق. Subhanallah. Abdurrahman ibn Auf did not take advantage, as we sometimes see it in our societies. We come to in society, they welcome us, we like immigrants, and we give the privileges for them. You'll find some people who are taking advantage. You've been here for 3-4 years and you're still taking the same assistant. Take it easy. It's good to start with, but خلاص let others who are more in need for it enjoy it, or whether you're receiving some benefits or stuff like that. Be mindful. Abdurrahman ibn Auf did not, was not from that, because he was trained by the Prophet ﷺ. And I conclude this. I know this is time for biryani now. I conclude this with a beautiful hadith from Sahih Bukhari to show you how the Prophet ﷺ taught the Sahaba the real meaning of ithar, how he purified their nafs and supplement their ruh towards Allah Azza wa Jal. In one of the ahadith, Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu said that I was poor and I was so hungry. I haven't had food for days. And I fainted as a result of my hunger. Kuntu usra, like he fainted out as a result of his hunger. He said, I found his nafs, his integrity would prevent him from reaching out and asking people for money. So he said, I saw Abu Bakr and I asked him about an ayah. That ayah, he knew it already, because he was used to shadow the Prophet ﷺ. The most person who reported a hadith from the Prophet ﷺ was Abu Hurairah. He said, I do not need to know about this ayah, but I want to give a hint that I am hungry. Like my face is bailing out. I'm dying. I need to eat. And Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu probably was too busy, did not pay attention to him. He explained for him the ayah and he moved away. And he said, I'm still hungry. He met Umar radiallahu anhu. And the same thing, he asked him about the meaning of the ayah, and Umar radiallahu anhu probably was the same. Everybody was busy in Medina because everybody was working hard to make their living. They're still trying to make their way in the new environment. And the same thing happened, and he walked away. He said, until I saw Abu al-Qasim, until I met the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and I asked him about the ayah, and the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam smiled in my face. وقال يا أبا هر. Oh, Abu Hurairah, not Abu Hurairah, Abu Hir. Hir, a soft, word of Hurairah, like say Khaddouj, or we say Hamoud to Muhammad. Abu Hir, come with me. So they both walked to the house of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And the Prophet sallallahu asked his wives, do we have anything? They said, Ya Rasulullah, you were giving a cup of milk as a hadiyah. Hadiyah is something the Prophet ﷺ is able to enjoy. A sadaqah, he would send it immediately to Ahl Sufa. So Abu Hurairah, when he heard that, he said, oh, that's it, that's a relief. The Prophet ﷺ, I know for sure he would, yu'thiruni and he would give me that cup of milk because, he's the prophet. I am so poor. I'm dying. I need to eat. So the Prophet ﷺ looked at him and said, Ya Abu Huraira, go to the mosque and call Ahlul Sufa. Abu Huraira was, this is it. Ahlul Sufa are the poor people who are sitting in the masjid, from the poorest of the Muhajirin, who find no place when they migrated to Medina. So they're staying in the house in the Prophet ﷺ's masjid, and whenever the sadaqat will be coming, it will be going to them, and they survive on that. So Abu Huraira, all that hope that he, to be able to quench his thirst or to eat, finally is gone. He said, what is this cup gonna do to Ahlul Sufa? So he said, وَمَا وَجَدْتُ مِنْ بُدْ مِنْ طَاعَةِ رَسُولِ اللَّهِ صَلَّى اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ وسلم. He said, look, this is it. I can't say anything to the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم. I have to listen to him. He's the Prophet. So he said, he walked to the masjid knowing that this is it. All his hopes to be able to eat that day is gone. He called the people of Ahlul Sufa, and they came to the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم's house, and they all settled. And then the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم said, Ya Abu Huraira, come forward. And he gave him the cup. And he said, go feed the people one by one. Abu Huraira was still, hoping that, the Prophet said, at least would say, you drink first and then give to the Ahlul Sufa. No, the Prophet wants to teach Abu Huraira practically the real meaning of ithar. He said to him, go and feed Ahlul Sufa one by one. And Abu Huraira's hands was shaking. He was like, here you go. So he offered the first person, the second person, third person, fourth person, until he finished them all and came to the Prophet ﷺ. The Prophet ﷺ looked at him and said, مَا بَقِيَ إِلَّا أَنْتَ وَأَنَا يَا أَبُو هُرَيْرَةَ. None is left except you and myself, Ya Abu Huraira. Ishrab ya Abu Huraira. Drink. So Abu Huraira finally could not believe himself. He grabbed the cup and drank. And he stopped. The Prophet ﷺ said to him, no, drink again. So he drank again. And then for the third time, the Prophet ﷺ said to him, don't stop, drink again. And the fourth time he said, Ya Rasulullah, وَالَّذِي بَعَثَكَ فِي الْحَقِّ لَأَجْدْ لَهُ مَسْلَكًا. By Allah, the one who sent you with the truth, I can't find room. Khalas, this is it. I'm up to here. I'm full. And then the Prophet ﷺ smiled. And wallahi, the hadith is amazing. The Prophet ﷺ sharib al-fadl. What does al-fadl mean? The leftover. Allahu Akbar. After all the Ahlul Sufa drank, and Abu Huraira was satisfied and drank, and he was fully satisfied, then the Prophet ﷺ drank whatever left in the cup. Subhanallah. This is how the Prophet ﷺ taught the Sahaba the real meaning of ithar. Now, practically speaking, do we have that in our life? On a community level, and I said on a society level, I said we are interacting as a minority group in a predominant society, and we're not fully understanding the concept of ithar. Like whenever a chance comes to us of taking advantage of any social assistance or anything that would give us money, we'll take advantage of it. Do we think that there are others who are really most need for it or not? When biryani is here, this is it, khalas. Nafsi. How about on a family level? Do we really understand the concept of ithar in our family? Can I take two more minutes, inshallah? 2 more minutes until the biryani is At the time of the Prophet ﷺ, and the ayahs I reported to you came to describe one family from the Ansar. This family of a husband and wife and children. But they were superior because they knew what is the real meaning of ithar. Imagine if a husband and a wife will have this ithar in their life. What their children are going to look like in the future. A man came to the Prophet ﷺ saying, Ya Rasulullah, mujhad, I am dying out of hunger. I haven't had food for many days. The Prophet ﷺ sent to his house, and they all reported to him that they have nothing except water. So he said, man who would host this man, and yarhamuhullah, Allah will give him rahmah, meaning to say Allah Azza will give him inshallah al-Jannah. One Ansari stood up immediately and said, Ana ya Rasulullah, without knowing whether he has something at home or not. And he immediately went to his home and said to his wife, I have the guest of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, لا تدخر شيئا, do not leave anything at home. She said, leave anything? All what we have is some food for the kids to eat tonight. You're not talking about 3 chickens and lamb biryani and shish kebab. No, we're talking about the food for the children. He said to her, "Allilihim, let them go to sleep hungry, and then put the lights out and let the guest eat." And the guest ate whatever little food they have. They pretended that they were eating with him, but they did not eat, and everybody slept hungry that night. The following morning in Salat al-Fajr, the Prophet ﷺ said to him, عَجِبَ اللَّهُ لِصَنِيعِكُمَا مَعَ ضَيْفِكُمَا لَيْلَةَ الْبَارِحَةِ. Allah, the Mighty, above 7 skies, was happy for what you have done to your guest the night before. What did they offer? Did they offer $1,000? $100,000? They offered only one probably plate full of food that would be enough or barely enough to feed 2 or 3 children, young people. This little was enough for them to be captured in ayat that would be recited until the day of judgment. This little food that they gave of the ithar, the exercise, made them make them granted them al-Jannah in the hereafter. Let's think of that. A sister or a brother who do not have ithar would not be able to do that, because there are some brothers or sisters who say, "Oh, come on," or let's not our children, our needs, all these things. But it requires 2 to be able to do ithar in the family, and these 2 will be able to, inshallah, produce a generation that would be able to relive these legacies that we have heard about in the books of Sirah. I'll stop here, inshallah. Jazakallah khairan. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. دعاء فدعاء. اللهم لك الحمد كما ينبغي لجلال وجهك وعظيم سلطانك وصلى الله وسلم محمد وعلى اله وصحبه اجمعين. اللهم يا رب السماوات والارض ورب العرش العظيم يا رحمن يا رحيم يا مالك يا قدوس يا سلام يا مؤمن يا مهيمن يا عزيز يا جبار يا متكبر يا مالك الملك يا من تؤتي الملك من تشاء وتنزع الملك ممن تشاء يا من تعز من تشاء وتذل من تشاء يا من بيدك الخير وانت على كل شيء قدير. اللهم آت نفوسها تقواها وزكها أنت خير من زكاها يا رب العالمين. اللهم هب لنا من أزواجنا وذرياتنا قرة أعين واجعلنا للمتقين إماما. ربي أوزعني أشكر نعمتك التي أنعمت علي وعلى والدي وأن أعمل صالحا ترضاه وأصلح لي في ذريتي إني تبت إليك وللمسلمين. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. جزاكم الله خيرا. السلام عليكم.